Hey, what's up, guys? It's TMacBB4 from Instagram. It's been a really long time since I uploaded anything to YouTube, but a friend of mine loaned me this Ronin just to play around with, and I figured since I had most of the Palethius collection, do an overview video for you guys that are looking for them, just want to know more about them. Um, if you don't know much about Palethius, from my knowledge, I could be wrong on some of the stuff, but my knowledge, he started out as just a modder, doing stuff like Anno, handle mods, spacer mods, blade mods, stuff like that. Then moved on to stuff like the 51 project, which was eventually made 51. He rehandled, and then something happened. They ended up getting new blades, so by the time you were done, it was pretty much a full custom knife. Then I think BRS picked them up. So if you were getting modifications done to your Blade Runner Systems knives and sending them into BRS, it was Palethius doing it. As far as like Alpha Beast handle rounding, getting a swedge cut into your rep or whatever, Palethius was handling all of that. Then if you followed him on Instagram and follow his work a couple years ago, we kind of got wind of him wanting to do a full design of his own, which is pretty much the next step. He had done rehandles, he had hand ground blades, and next step is just to put it all together and do your own design. And that's when he brought us the BC Balisong. And BC standing for the origin of it all, the beginning of it all. That was his first full design that he was releasing, yeah, to the public in a small run. Um, Pictured here, I kind of have them in chronological order. There is different versions to some of them, but this is pretty much what you got here, what he has out. The earlier, even earlier model of the BC here was one with a high carbon blade with a Hammond and tang pins. I actually had a tang pin recurve buoy. If you guys follow me personally, I prefer Zen pin, so I kind of worked out a little trade sale deal where I got this regular buoy but with Zen pins and gave up my tang pin recurve buoy. That was a gorgeous knife. Nothing against the way he did tang pins. I mean, they're perfectly fine, super strong, but I prefer Zen pins. The two I have here are not high carbon, and they don't have Hammonds. These are 154 cm and polished flats. 5.3 inch handles, 4-inch blade, coming in at, I think, 0.54 thick, so nice thick knives, and it has the rock texture at the top, the bottom. His chosen hole design and some sick anno, which I kind of damn near flipped off some of it on this kukri. I liked it so much. This does have the Zen pin design. What he did here was just run a, I believe it's sort of like a sex bolt. No, it's a sex bolt tube, so not a sex bolt at all. So just a tube with a sleeve around it to widen it up to keep you. But it's super, super solid. More of a quiet balisong when you hear the impact, but it flips really, really well. The main thing I like about these is this is a 5.3 ounce knife that does not flip like a 5.3 ounce knife, and I believe that's because instead of the traditional 5.5 inch handles, 4.5 inch blade, things are just a little bit shorter at 5.3 and 4 inches up top, but with a nice, nice thick blade. So the balance is just dead on these knives. I mean, you're flipping a 5.3, 5.4 ounce knife like it was a 4.9 ounce knife. I know to many that's not going to sound like a lot. Some people don't care about weight at all. I'm just talking about the characteristics of a knife weighing that much. You sling around a 4.7 ounce knife very quickly. Now, for a knife of this weight, it flips a lot faster than it should if it was the traditional length. The kukri having more steel on top does carry over, I feel, a little bit better than the buoy when you're doing moves like choker fan or fanning in general. I mean, carry over may be a poor use of the word. They both carry over just fine. Just having that blade weight, the difference of, say, like a 42 style knife or like an Alpha B style knife, you have more blade weight, so things like fanning just come more naturally. The buoy does weigh slightly less. Here, I have their exact numbers here. The kukri of the custom version is 5.29 ounces, and the buoy is 5.24 ounces. So in these runs of knives, the weight is very, very close. It's just where the weight is making the knife feel different, where it carries that extra weight. The next thing he brought to us was the Revolution. It's very properly named. You're not going to find this in pretty much any other design that I've ever seen yet. I hope to see it a lot more because it's an awesome design. It's a Lum style blade, Lum style Tanto, hollow, gorgeous polished hollow grind. Again, with the 4-inch blade, it's got a 5.3 and change handle, so it's just very slightly longer than the customs. But the cool thing about these, it's G10 over titanium liner, but the G10 wraps around, so it feels like a channel balisong. Now, you guys that already flip know how much time flippers spend on the sides of their knives instead of here, where, you know, you would think, you see the grip on knives and you think you're spending a lot of time here, but we actually twirl out here. Even when you're handling like this, you're on the sides of the knives. So that's why these channel knives are so popular, like the 42, the Archangel, and things like that. But with this knife, you get the feel of a channel balisong, but the tunability of a sandwich balisong, where you have your rear bias knives, like the Alpha Beast and stuff like that, because you get a nice spacer. Now, this is taking it to the next extreme by having a nice block spacer at the extreme end of the handle. So what you have here is a 4.49 ounce knife, which is very light, but carries over very, very well. So here you got a heavier knife that has light knife characteristics, and here you have a light knife that has heavier knife characteristics. How it carries over is very not like a 4.5 ounce knife, and even more so, it's very not like a channel knife. You guys know channel knives are usually neutral because you don't have the opportunity to put a big hunk of metal at the end of the handles. You just kind of have whatever they give you where the channel is milled out. Here you have a nice big block spacer at the end, which is letting you carry over extremely well. Being a light knife, this thing is extremely solid. Another Zen pin design knife, which is also cool. So you have a knife that feels like a channel with Zen pins as well. You guys know I'm a freak for Zen pins. I absolutely love them. But what a properly named knife is a Revolution. I really hope to see this design a lot more. I believe after that came the mid-tech BCs. If you guys aren't familiar with the term mid-tech, it's mainly a custom that maybe has outsourced a portion of the knife, which is what happened here. Now, I believe the handles were outsourced to a machinist. The rest was done by Palethius, of course, and these were put out in a larger run than the other knives. Now you can see the differences here. No texture. These are just smooth. No anodizations. You can see the whole pattern, I believe, is slightly different. Just very, very slightly different, if anything. Just a whole size difference in some places. The grinds are also slightly different. I do like the mid-tech grinds better. And they did away with the tube and sleeve for the Zen pin. These are just traditional, like, replicant shouldered stop pins. So it does have a different sound. The click is more high-pitched and present here than in the custom version. These are very slightly longer, pretty much the same length as the Revolution. The thickness is just about the same, but it has a heavier radius. So the customs do feel more square, and I do believe that ups the control with them a little bit. But the mid-techs really do roll through the fingers easier. So a little bit of control is lost, but a little bit of flow is picked up. So that's cool. You know, everything in balisongs is give and take. Again, same style spacers, pretty much same style everything. You're just losing a little bit of the control and the grip of the texture. Now, all these I've mentioned all the way up are absolutely dead center. There's no rub in any of them, barely any play. You do see some machine marks in the mid-tech handles, and I'm just assuming that's from the outsourced machinist doing the work on the handles. There's just a couple machine spots here and there, but nothing to really scoff at. They're absolutely gorgeous knives. Super solid. Again, you pretty much had the same. Now, there's more variance in the custom, in the mid-techs than the custom. Now, on the mid-tech, the kukri comes in at 5.47, and the buoy comes in at 5.36. So there is more of a difference here than here. I don't know if I can feel it more. I always seem to lean towards the kukri because it has more of that blade weight and it just feels a little bit better balanced to me. But if you're really going to turn up the speed, I think the Bowie's the way to go. Um, it seems to behave better under really really fast flipping. Both of those are absolutely phenomenal knives, and not the latest. The latest is going to be the backline that's coming out very soon. But right before that, he released the Ronin, which is a very cool knife, and I think is even cooler. It's almost like a titanium version of the Revolution. It's got the Lum style Tonto blade. This one is W2 with a Hammond, and I'm sorry, my camera is just, I'm using a phone camera, so it really can't pick up the Hammond. It is a light Hammond, but it's very present. But the whole pattern is the same as the Revolution, and this is sandwich style straight up. Full length spacers. The end of these handles just look gorgeous. Nice and thick. It is 0.53 inch thick, so pretty much keeping with the thickness he likes to go with. The handles are a little bit longer, 5.4 inch handles, and this is more of a handle bias feel than any of the other knives here, and I believe that's due to the material loss of the hollow, and then the spacers, while they're not really long, they are at the very extreme end of it, and they do have some meat to them, so that's a good hunk of metal out there. So this is more handle bias than any of the other ones, and you can feel it if you get a choker fan or something like that. It does want to pull towards the handle, but because they're out there and everything is so solid, it rings beautifully. Just a great knife. Feels really good. The ends feel great. It feels a little bit more boxy, maybe I want to say, but definitely not losing anything when I'm trying to roll through my hands. I know the Ronins were just released through auction, and these guys paid a pretty penny for these suckers, and I can't say that I blame them because they're absolutely gorgeous. They feel great. They look great. I have this basilisk just sitting here to show you guys just kind of the difference in size to some of them. I mean, the shortest ones are going to be the customs. So you're mainly losing the length in the blade, but because the blades are thicker than most, you don't lose any of the momentum given to you by that little extra half inch, if that makes sense. He uses a nice thick blade stock, and I feel like they do have kind of a special balance to them, and it's been my favorite balance through all the balisongs that I've ever flipped. If you guys have flipped, say, a mid-tech kukri, you may know what I'm talking about. The balance on them is just phenomenal, and I think it's just a combination of the weight, the handle length versus the blade length, the ratio between the two. Where it carries its weight it's perfect for me. I know it's not perfect for everyone, but a lot of people that I talk to that have flipped the Palethius lineup really love the kukri BCs. They do feel great, and the Revolution is always ranked high up on people's favorite flippers as well. Feels great. Now this one is as well a little bit more handle biased than the others, but not quite as much as the Ronin. If you guys are looking to acquire one of these, the best way to go about it is to just follow Palethius on Instagram and keep an eye out for the drops. There are a lot of people that want not a lot of knives, so it's going to be difficult to acquire one, but it's not impossible. Good luck if you're trying to get one, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thanks a lot.